I think today I'm just gonna go with the flow. Hello, and today is the day I am finally testing out flow state in Legacy, but I'm not doing any of the fair stuff you're seeing everyone else doing with it. I'm gonna go unfair, and we are jamming flow state into combo today in the form of Dimir Reanimator showcasing Secrets of Strixhaven. So this is a little bit different than the normal Reanimator decks you see me play on the channel. We are focusing on the old school Reanimator combo of Worldgorger Dragon with Animate Dead to be able to generate infinite mana and blink our board an infinite number of times to be able to finish the game out in any of a number of ways. Typically, the way this will work is we will go for this combo of Worldgorger Dragon with Animate Dead along with a Surveil land so that we are constantly putting things into our graveyard until we can find an Archon of Cruelty, and then continue this loop until there is another Animate Dead or a Reanimate on top of the library so that we can break our chain by moving our Animate Dead onto Archon of Cruelty, draw that additional Animate Dead off the top of our deck, and then start the combo all over again, targeting Worldgorger Dragon with the Animate Dead. And now we're blinking Archon of Cruelty infinite number of times to be able to drain our opponent out of the game. So that is game plan number one, and this is in a hyper-efficient, dedicated combo deck looking to speed this out as quickly as possible with the help of Dark Rituals for mana, Unmarked Graves to be able to tutor our finishers into the graveyard since Entomb isn't in the format anymore, and churn through our deck with Brainstorm, Ponder, and Flow State to find our pieces to be able to win the game. To protect what we're trying to do, we have Discard in the form of Thoughtseize, Counter Spells in the form of Force of Will, and a little bit of disruption with Brazen Borrower to be able to bounce problematic permanents off of the battlefield. We also have a plan C, I would say, in this deck of just being able to go a pseudo tempo route. We have some Barrow just to have a big beater to be able to finish the game out with, or we can turbo flip a Tamiyo and try to take over the game with the Tamiyo ultimate itself. We also have a one of Emeritus of Ideation, the blue Emeritus from Secrets of Strixhaven, and at only 5 mana, it is realistic that we can cast this, but it's also another thing that we can tutor into our graveyard to reanimate to be able to take advantage of its Ancestral Recall spell that's attached to it. And the nice part is since this enters the battlefield prepared, if we can start blinking it with the Worldgorger combo and our mana, we can draw our entire deck to find whatever pieces we're missing while we're making infinite mana to be able to find a way to close out the game that way. Being a hyper efficient combo deck, it is very land light, only 16 lands, a whole bunch of fetches, couple of basics, full playset of Underground Seas, and then 2 Undercity Sewers to be able to do the loop, like I said, with Worldgorger Dragon to continually keep putting stuff into our graveyard to be able to find our way to actually finish the game out. This deck has a transformative sideboard, which, as you all know, I absolutely love when there's a transformative juke in the sideboard. But for this one, instead of juking into another combo like you normally see with these decks that doesn't rely on the graveyards, this is juking into a show and tell plan. This is just foregoing the combo entirely and going straight up tempo. So we can take out our combo, bring in a bunch of Fatal Pushes for removal, dot the Voidwalker for some graveyard hate and some aggro, another Barrow, and some Orcish Bowmasters. So instead of our opponents anticipating us ignoring the graveyard and finding another way to cheat our fatties in, we're just going to ignore the fatties and go straight tempo and see if our opponent's even prepared for something along those lines. To help round out the sideboard, we do have some Consigned to Memories to be able to take on colorless or triggered abilities, Force Negations for the combo decks to be able to have more free interaction, stop them what they're doing. And then for aggro decks that are relying on creatures such as Mardu Energy and stuff like that, we do have a Sarah's Emissary that we can bring in to reanimate named creature. Our opponent really doesn't have a way to finish the game out anymore because we're not going to be taking damage from the creatures, and that's how they win the game. We can also use it on something like Sorcery as well to be able to shut down kills from a Storm opponent through Tendrils of Agony or something like that, and now they're stuck trying to find some other way to win the game. But this is mostly for if there's one key card type that your opponent's entire game plan is banking on, this is kind of just a silver bullet to try to take that out. So let's see how Flow State feels in Legacy and do it in a little bit of a different way than what we've traditionally been seeing here. If you like this video, do me a favor, drop a like and a comment below, and be sure to sub to the channel to know when my videos go live. And as an added bonus, if the channel hits 500 subs by the end of June, I will offer free donation deck lists for everybody for all of July. So if you want to see your deck played on the channel, make sure you hit that sub button if you haven't. With that being said, let's play some Magic. Alright, it's finally time. I am testing out Flow State, but I am doing it the combo way, not that annoying, fair, tempo-y way. So let's see just how busted Flow State really is and try it out firsthand. This is a pretty good hand to start out. We do need some lands, but we've got pretty much the whole combo in our hand right now. Plus, we've got Tamiyo to kind of try to distract our opponent, and we've got some card selection. So as long as we don't get wastelanded out of this game, I think we're probably pretty good. So the question becomes, do we want to lead off on Ponder, or do we want to start off on Tamiyo? I think it's going to depend on what our first draw is. If we hit a land, I'm comfortable starting out on Tamiyo. If we don't hit a land, I might want to Ponder just to ensure that we get a land. But opponent plays a Polluted Delta into an Underground Sea. Are we getting Thought Seized? Yes, our thoughts are being seized. The jig is up. We'll see what they value here. They might value this Unmarked Grave because it's the one thing that's different in the hand. Or if they don't have a good way to deal with Tamiyo, they might favor going after that. But this also begs the question of, is this a fair Underground Sea? Are we up against Dimir Tempo? Or is this going to be an unfair Storm, Reanimator, something? Okay, so they took our Reanimate. So that's interesting. Amazingly, Reanimate is actually the worst of our reanimation spells, and the fact that we drew a land, I'm comfortable slamming Tamiyo here. And it resolves. So do they have removal, or do they have like a Bowmasters or something thinking that they can snipe this? Okay, they just got a Fatal Push. That's fine. That's taking resources. Ooh, they're missing lands. Interesting. Well, we hit an Underground Sea. Let's play Polluted Delta, and we will Ponder. And we hit Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize, Reanimate. I think we're going to go ahead and take the Thoughtseize, hide the Dark Ritual, and go for it next turn. So we'll take the Thoughtseize, pass the turn. I might have messed this up because I do need a Surveil land to truly go off. Okay, into a Nethergore. So this is fair. So this is going to be blue-black tempo. And they are just missing lands here. Alright, so we have 5 mana at our disposal. That is enough to be able to Thoughtseize into Unmarked Grave. And we can eventually stop the chain by grabbing a Tamiyo and then pondering once we have virtually infinite mana. But then we're a little stuck on what's going on here. I think we're going to start off with a ponder here. Go grab our Surveil land. So what do I want here? I can grab another Thoughtseize to be safe, and then we can double Thoughtseize next turn. I don't hate that. So let's put back Reanimate, Brainstorm, Thoughtseize. Take the Thoughtseize, play an Underground Sea, and we can Thoughtseize them this turn just to get a little bit of an idea of what's going on here, and then we can go grab our Surveil land. Okay, Flow State, Nethergloive, Murktide Regent, Force of Will. They do have an instant and a sorcery in the graveyard, so because of the fact that we can Thoughtseize next turn and still go off, we're going to take the Flow State with the plan of taking the Force of Will next turn. And opponent plays a Nethergloive, that's fine. Alright, and I think we're just getting a little bit lucky that they're missing their land drops here. But now we can go ahead and grab our Surveil land, and that will actually get us to the true full combo. So go grab an Undercity Sewers off of our Polluted Delta. We might luck out and just bin a fatty as well. We hit a Reanimates. I think I do want that just so that we can get something back and start doing the chain again if we need to. So we will take the Reanimate. And then we will start out with a Thoughtseize because if they do Force of Will this Dark Ritual, it does screw up our combo. Alright, Snuff out, Force of Will, Murktide Regent. This does kind of screw stuff up, unless I just say screw it and go grab the, whatchamacallit here? The Archon of Cruelty, because they can't grab Archon with this, which I think is actually what we're going to do. So slight change of plans, we're not going for the full-on combo. So their hand is this. We will Dark Ritual. We will Unmarked Grave. Unfortunately, the Snuff Out can kill the Worldgorger Dragon, so we have to go for the Archon of Cruelty line, grab Archon, Animate Dead our Archon, and we're just gonna have to go for the fair beatdown route. Okay, and they scoop it up anyways, cool. So up against Dimir Tempo, there's a part of me that wants to juke into the full-on fair route, but they did see that we have Tamiyo, so they are going to keep some of their small removal in, but I think just to try to get the most out of this, we are going to go ahead and pretty much go the full juke out of the graveyard plan here and leave just the more value-oriented creatures to possibly reanimate if we can surveil them or discard them from our hand. Since Archon dodges Snuff Out, I want to keep that one, and then Emeritus isn't completely unreasonable, so let's try something like that. Alright, this is a good tempo-y hand, so I think we're going to go ahead and keep this. Start out with a Thoughtseize into a Dauthi Voidwalker. And we have our mana under us, so we don't really got to worry about getting wastelanded here. I would have liked some card selection here, but I think we're going to give it a shot. Opponent went to 6. Bloodstained Mire, cracking it right away. Are we getting our thoughts seized? Grabs an Underground Sea. Yes, our thoughts are being seized. Do you want the Voidwalker or do you want the Thoughtseize is the question. Took the Thoughtseize, okay. So they want to keep their secrets over there. We drew a Fatal Push. They know about this Underground Sewers, or Undersea Sewers, so we're just going to go ahead and do this. A Force of Will. That doesn't really do anything for us at this point, so I think we can easily bend that, pass the turn, see what they do. I'm a little worried about them just slamming Tamiyo into Brainstorm here, because we don't really have a good way to deal with that at the moment, but we'll see. Wasteland, okay. So at least this stops that from happening, and we have so many lands, we don't actually really care about that at the moment. And now we have some interaction up. Okay, I don't hate Brazen Borrower. We will play Polluted Delta. And really the goal when you do this juke is you are kind of a tempo deck, but at the same time, you're kind of just slam these small, efficient threats until your opponent runs out of ways to deal with them. Alright, Ponder from the opponent. Did not shuffle. Finds a Delta. Okay. Well, we'll go grab another Surveil land. Go grab Undercity Sewers. And we'll actually keep the Force of Will this time, because we have something to pair with it. And we will play the other Polluted Delta just to get the same fetch land out of our hand, just in case they randomly have Surgical Extraction. Grab an Underground Sea. Slam the Dauthi. We can fight over this if we need to. Granted, Undercity Sewers of their own. I think this is worth fighting over. If they try to daze this, I think I will force it. Because we'll have an unblockable clock on the battlefield, and I don't know if they would have kept their creature removal in. Alright, they put something on top. Ooh, Force of Will pitching a flow state. Well, I think we're going to force back here. Like I said, I have a feeling they probably didn't keep much of their creature removal in. And if they have a daze, it sets them back. But okay. I'm a little worried about something like a Murktide Region. It is going to be a 6/6, and it's going to be a faster clock than Dauthi Voidwalker at this point. And we did get rid of our Brazen Borrower to get this Dauthi Voidwalker into play. So I am worried about a Murktide Region. Flow state, okay. And they do have an instant and sorcery, so they are getting 2 cards out of this, but they still only have 4 in hand. Polluted Delta. Cracking the Polluted Delta. Into an Underground Sea. Ooh, they did keep their small creature removal in. Okay. Well, this ultimately ended up with them still only having 2 cards in hand. I like a Barrowgoyf. Well, I guess we can Thoughtseize and see what's going on over there. A Nethergoyf and a Brainstorm. I think we're going to take the Brainstorm, because we have an answer for the Nethergoyf. And I don't want them being able to select cards. Another Flow State. Alright, they might be the better Flow State deck here, but we'll see. And there's a Nethergoyf. We will Fatal Push that. I would love to see a Nethergoyf here. I guess Ponder's okay, so we will Ponder. They have 2 cards in hand. We have a Flow State, a Delta. Well, we will take the Flow State for sure. And we will play a land. We're already playing into Wasteland, so I don't think there's a need to try to play around it at this point. And then we will get our Flow State on. Tamiyo, Force of Will. Well, I guess we're taking those. And we could play Tamiyo here, but I think we're just going to hold it up as Force Bait, because if they have a Murktide Region, this is our only realistic answer at this point. Opponent's going to Ponder. Into a Wasteland, okay. I mean, I'm not super concerned about that. Like, we realistically only need 3 mana anyways. And that's not a threat. Like, the threats are the only thing I care about at this point. Into a Tamiyo of their own. Do I want to fight this? I really can't deal with that. And our Tamiyo isn't really doing anything anyways. I think we are going to force a will that. Opponent has one card in hand. We are hellbent. Into a Marsh Flats. We'll keep that in hand, but that is not what we want to see here at all. Just hard casting a Kaido. Okay. I mean, that is mildly problematic. Embleming the Kaido. We really don't have a good way to deal with that, and it can stun down our Barrowglyphs and stuff. Alright, well, a Force of Will is also not what we want to see here. It's about a turn too late, but we do have Hardcast Force of Will as an option here. Alright, opponent's going to Surveil with the Kaido. Makes sense. One top, one graveyard. They put a land in the graveyard, and they're casting a Mishra's Bauble, probably to see what we're drawing. Opponent's going to escape the Netherglyph. That's not really worth trying to force it. And we hit a Thoughtseize. We're just dead on board. We will go to the next game. Good game, opponent. So, do we want to change anything at all here? Do we want to get the combo back in just to be safe? I think we might bring some of the combo back in here. I don't think our Force of Wills are actually realistically doing much of anything here. Maybe we'll keep one Force of Will as a oh shit button. And with the fact that they're so flow state heavy, I kind of want to take these Orcish Bowmasters out, if I'm being completely honest. Like, with the meta changing to incorporate flow state instead, like, Orcish Bowmasters is not as good as it used to be, but they still do have Brainstorms and Ponders and stuff. So I think we're going to try something like this. Bring the combo back in just to try to be safe, because our Force of Wills aren't really doing much against them anyways. But let's try something like that. Alright, Dauthi Voidwalker. We have double Dauthi Voidwalker, double Thoughtseize, one land. Do we trust to find lands considering how much we flooded out last time? I'm going to do a quick land check here. Alright, we only got 16 lands. I think I got to ship this one. Okay, this is much better. We will keep this. We will bin the Emeritus. And I think we're actually going to start off on basics here. So we'll play a Flooded Strand. Set up for a flipped Tamiyo on turn 2. So grab an island, play a Tamiyo. I am going to play on basics for right now. Opponent did keep on 7 this time. Into a Thoughtseize. I'm assuming they're taking the Brainstorm. They might take this Barrowglyph, though. Okay, they took the Fatal Push. Interesting. They might have a Snuff Out then? Oh, we hit a Force of Will. We'll play the Verdant Catacombs. We'll move to combat. And if they have to snuff out this Tamiyo... Oh, I apparently clicked through combat. Oops. Well, we will try the Brainstorm. They did not have a snuff out. I think we're going to put back Barrowglyph and Flow State for right now. Flip our Tamiyo, hold up Force of Will blue card. That way, our hand is relatively safe from a Thoughtseize. They could have something like a Shoulder's Edict, but again, we can still fight that with Force of Will Ponder. I would like to cast the Ponder to be able to turn on the Flow State, but Polluted Delta for the opponent. Into a Tamiyo of their own. Okay. Are they going to turbo flip their Tamiyo? Does not look like it. Okay. So we could play hyper conservatively, get back the Fatal Push, try to kill their Tamiyo. But let's see what we can find off of Ponder first, because we know there's a Barrowglyph in these top 3. There's 2 Barrowglyphs. Alright, let's see. How do we want to do this? We definitely want one of the Barrowglyphs here. I think we're actually going to put both of the Barrowglyphs under, take the Ponder, no shuffle, play our Underground Sea. This allows us to be able to pitch Ponder to Force of Will and still be able to flow state, and then we're going to draw a Barrowglyph, try to play Barrowglyph. However, we're going to have to shuffle the other one away. But we're going to try this. Tick up the Tamiyo, pass the turn, and we still have Force of Will blue card to try to protect what we're doing. And we can always rebuild with Flow State. Opponent cracks their Delta, goes and grabs an Undercity Sewers. And opponent's getting in with their Tamiyo, which has -1 power. That should totally allow us to be able to gain life, right? That's how that works. And a Wasteland, okay. So, since we're so far away from being able to cast those Barrowglyphs, I think we are going to go ahead and go grab a Surveil land then. with the plan of just flow stating, because those Barrogoys don't really do us any good now. So we'll grab our own Undercity Sewers. And a Dauthi Voidwalker we can't cast, so we can easily bin that. And they are holding up Bowmaster's mana, but we do have Force of Will, so I don't know if that's what they think their out is. We also have a Reanimates. Let's start out with Flow State, because it is fully turned on. Dark Ritual, Barrogoyf. Well, I guess we're taking a Barrogoyf and a Dark Ritual. Tick up Tamiyo. And then we will pass the turn. Is the opponent going to crack a clue, or do they have a Bowmaster? Oh, they're going to Petty Theft it. Well, I think we're going to try to save this then, because clearly they don't have the Bowmaster. They would have gone for it. Do they have a counter back as well? No. Okay. Plays an Underground Sea. Getting in with their Tamiyo. Getting another clue. Do they have an answer to this Tamiyo is the question. Alright, they're passing the turn. 4 cards in hand. They do have a redraw. And we have an Animate Dead. Do I want... So like, the problem is if they have a Bowmasters, we're just 100% dead. So do I want to try to get something back? I think I actually do. We're going to go ahead and return Fatal Push to our hand. Like, this might be playing hyper-conservatively, but... And then we will go ahead and play Dark Ritual. We will play Barrogoyf. And if they counter this, we can just reanimate it. They are drawing a card, okay. So they're looking for a counter. Barrogoyf resolves, and since they didn't have a counter, I think I am going to take out this Tamiyo. And then we will pass the turn and start ticking this Tamiyo back up while beating down with Barrogoyf. Land from the opponent. Grabs an Underground Sea. Ooh, Fatal Push on the Barrogoyf, but we have Reanimate to try to get it back. Ooh, and a Shoulder's Edict. Okay, so they found an answer to everything so far. They've got 3 cards in hand, but we can reanimate the Barrogoyf. And we hit an Archon of Cruelty. That would have been much better in our graveyard. Oh, let's see if you got more answers, opponent. Alright, Barrogoyf is back on the battlefield. How many times can you get through a Barrogoyf, opponent? Playing a Flow State, which is turned on. They do have a sorcery in there. Alright, opponent's going to Thoughtseize. I'm sure they're going to take the Animate Dead. They're not going to put this Archon of Cruelty into the graveyard for us. Ooh, another Shoulder's Edict. Okay. They are down to 2 cards, but this is very much slipping away from us here. Well, I guess we'll go back on the Tamiyo plan. Maybe I was playing too conservatively. Maybe I should have just gone for it, drew half my deck, but... And they have a Fatal Push. Okay. They haven't played a threat yet. Nile's Spellbomb. Okay, that can wipe out my graveyard. But they haven't played a threat yet. We have an Orcish Bowmasters. I like that. That's at least a threat and can punish a cantrip if they go for it. However, if their last card is a Daze, that does suck a little bit here. Alright. Please don't have a Daze or a Fatal Push as your last card. Okay. It's at least not a Daze. Is it a Fatal Push? No, it is not a Fatal Push. Okay. Well, cantrips are punished. This is not a good clock by any means, but it's something. Oh, they have an Orcish Bowmasters of their own. I wonder if this is what's been hanging out in their hand the whole time, and I was correct not to ultimate that Tamiyo. Alright, opponent ships the turn after that. We hit a Dauthi Voidwalker we cannot cast yet. We still need another black mana. I am going to go in. Like, they can chump block with their Orc Army if they want to, but if they want to clear this off the battlefield, they have to give up both things. And it looks like they're just taking the hit at this point. So I'm curious if that means they have a Kaido. And opponent's cracking back for 2 as well. I'm thinking this means there's a Kaido here. No, no Kaido. Okay. And they're just shipping the turn. So I'm curious what they have in their hand. Well, we hit an Underground Sea. We will go ahead and get in. Alright, doesn't look like they're ambushing it. Play our Underground Sea. Play a Dauthi Voidwalker. Hardcast Force of Will? Yes, hardcast Force of Will. If we draw one of our Barrogoyfs, we can play it. Flow State. Yeah, I think this one slipped away, but this was super grindy and some real good back and forth magic here. Tamiyo. Okay. That is an infinite chump blocker for Orcish Bowmaster, or the army token. We hit a Flow State. See if this resolves. They're debating if they want to pop this Spellbomb, so I only get 1 card off of this. I guarantee you that's what they're thinking about right now. Because they can't shut this off, so I only get one card, but they're debating if they need it for this or not. Alright, we got Brazen Borrower, Thoughtseize, Reanimate. What do we have in our graveyard that we could even try to reanimate? There is a Barrogoyf that we could try to force them to pop it for. They also have a Tamiyo we could try going for here. I think we're going to grab Brazen Borrower and Reanimate. We're going to move to combat. And I think they can just block this with Tamiyo, but they might also see this as a trap. And they might just block with the Orc Army instead, because this is hinting that I have something going on here. Okay, they're just blocking with the Orc Army. Okay. That is fine. I can set up to bounce the Spell Bomb, get my Barrogoyf back. So I think that's the out we're playing to here. Okay, they just had another Orcish Bowmaster. That's fine. Like I said, I think the plan here is let them do their turn. We will bounce the Spell Bomb, hope that they don't crack it, and go grab our Barrogoyf. Or if we draw another Reanimate, we can try to go after something in their graveyard, force them to pop theirs. Ooh, they have the Thoughtseize. Okay. Took the Reanimate. Okay. They don't have any flyers. Oh, they just had double Thoughtseize. I was about to say we can get Brazen Borrower in and kill them in 2 turns over the air because they don't have any flyers, but if they have another Thoughtseize, so be it. And into a Nethergoyf. They are now empty-handed, but they do have a redraw, which it looks like they're taking. And we hit a Scalding Tarn. I think we still have an Undercity Sewers left in the deck, but we go to 1. We can't fetch with the Scalding Tarn. We need to hit Barrogoyf off of the top. Okay, they are popping this now. Targeting me, I'm assuming. Yep. Get a draw for this. We need to hit Barrogoyf, and we need our opponent to have literally no answers for it. Which, considering the fact that they're about to get another redraw, is very unlikely. Oh, that grew the Nethergoyf. I didn't even see there was an artifact in the graveyard yet. Okay, good game, opponent. That was a hell of a slog and some good magic. On to the next round. Alright, lost the die roll. We're 1 mana away from this actually being pretty good, but with how few lands are in the deck, I really don't know if I trust that. I think we need to ship this one. This one is completely unkeepable. Well, we got a Ponder, so unfortunately, I think I don't want to do it, but I almost feel like we need to put the combo back. Either that or we need to put Animate Dead Flow State back. I think we're going to do Animate Dead and Flow State back. Hold on to the Force of Will's no ship button, and then hope that our Ponder can find us a second land up against another Dimir card. Brainstorm from the opponent. And they ship the turn. They actually mulligan to 5 as well, so I'm curious what they're on. Well, Animate Dead is back. Is this a fair or an unfair Dimir deck is the question. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to be able to play around Wasteland, so we kind of just have to suck it up and go for it. I want to see a land in this pile. Oh, opponent's going to daze the Ponder? Okay. That's aggressive, but okay. Underground Sea is back. And they're going to Thoughtseize. I'm assuming they take the Unmarked Grave here. They might take the Force of Will. I'm getting Doomsday vibes from our opponent here based off of the way they're playing. So they might actually grab the Force of Will. No, took the Unmarked Grave. Okay. And ships the turn. Show me a land deck. Well, I guess we're going to get to see what they're doing over there. Return the favor with the Thoughtseize. Murktide Regent Brainstorm. Well, I guess we're going to take the Murktide Regent, and we honestly might just reanimate that and go to town. So it looks like we're up against another Dimir Tempo player. However, it's going to feel bad taking 7 damage just to get a 3-3. Alright, drew the Misty for turn, playing the Brainstorm, so they got some selection going on, and they can shuffle it. Quick shuffle. To another Underground Sea. Into another Thoughtseize. Okay, well, I'm guessing that means there goes our Reanimate. I don't know if this Polluted Delta is still in hand or not, if there's something else going on over there. Alright, they did take the Reanimate. We hit a Barrogoyf we can't play, but that will be very good if we can actually get it down. And opponent appears to be passing the turn too, so that means this Polluted Delta is not in hand since they didn't play a land. Another Unmarked Grave, okay. We're kind of just in the mana waiting room here. Flashing in a Orcish Bowmasters, that's fine. I don't actually care about that. Alright, opponent's getting in. Looks like they're still missing mana, so that means they have interactive spells over there. Okay, Undercity Sewers isn't exactly what I was going for here, but I'll take it. And I think we will keep the Reanimate here. Try to set up for a 2-turn clock here. Okay, into another Orcish Bowmasters. So, as of right now, we still do have the time to try to Unmarked Grave, probably. Okay, into a Thoughtseize. What are they going to take? I wouldn't hate if they just take the Barrow Wave here, honestly. But they can see we can get it back, so. We might be at the point of just Animate Deading this Murktide Regent, just to have a blocker on the battlefield. Okay, they took the Animate Dead into a Tamiyo, so they're empty-handed. We will take 4, go to 9, then we're going to take another 4. We are banking on this Barrow pretty hard, because we're going to have to Unmarked Grave. Alright, so we're going to take another 4, go to 5, go to 2 to get Barrow back and hope that stabilizes. I don't like it, but that's where we're at this point. And they are empty-handed. They do get their draw for turn, and they can get a redraw off of Tamiyo into a flow state that is fully turned on. Swear to God, if this whole league today is literally just a Dimir Reanimator, I don't know if I'm going to post this, because that's just going to be miserable. Undercity Sewers. Bins a Tamiyo. Opponent gets in. We're going to go to 5. We hit a swamp. Do I want to play around... Well, I mean, I think we're screwed no matter what we do here, so I am going to play around Daze and go ahead and just try to reanimate this Barrow. Hope this survives, gains us some life. We drop another Barrow. If they can find a Fatal Push or something to kill this, or a Brazen Borrower to bounce it, we're just dead anyways. There's a land, so they can turn on Revolt for Fatal Push if they have it. Cracking a Clue, looking for an answer. Getting it with only Tamiyo, okay. So they're going to be on chump block duty. If we can get these 2 Barrow to stabilize, that is going to be insane. And they can flip Tamiyo here if they want to crack this and crack another Clue. Or they just have a Ponder to do it. Quick shuffle off of the Ponder, so that's good. Alright, they got another Tamiyo. Well, we're going to see if we can just punch through with these Barrow apparently. We hit an Archon. Well, let's go ahead, get in with the Barrow. At this point... I think we just want to go face. It's still swinging in as a 4-6, but they've got quite a few chump blockers. But we're going to have a second Barrow here. Is your last card a Daze, opponent? No. Okay. See if these are the little Barrow that could. Wasteland. Okay. It's not a threat. Cracking a Clue. Is this a Murktide Regent? It sure looks like one. That is indeed a Murktide Regent. And opponent's going to get back a Brainstorm. Interesting. Just to make Murktide Regent bigger. So I need to hit a Brazen Borrower off of the top, basically, is what this comes down to. Yep, going after a dual land. So I need to find Brazen Borrower or a way to find Brazen Borrower and a land. So a Brainstorm could maybe do it. Getting in with Tamiyo. We hit a Ponder. That doesn't do anything. We will go to combat. Do I want to pressure this Tamiyo, or do I want to just keep pressuring their life total? I think I'm just going to pressure the life total at this point. If they want to chump block with Bullet to Bowmasters, I'm actually okay with that, because then I can fire off this Ponder without really much to worry. Or they're giving up their Murktide Regent. And this will get me above Murktide Regent killing me. And we do have Forcible Blue card if they leave either of the Bowmasters on the battlefield. Okay. So they're giving up on the Bowmasters. We're up to 16. Do I want to hold on to Forcible Blue card, or do I want to try to find something off of this Ponder? I think I need to try to find something off of Ponder. Island, Unmarked Grave, Verdant Catacombs. We're going to have to any order this. Okay, we found a flow state, so we found another blue card to pair with this Force of Will for no ship button. And we are gaining more life than we're losing from these Barrow, assuming they hold. Our flow state is also fully turned on. Opponent plays an island. Taking up Tamiyo. Flow state from the opponent. I need to fight over their finishers and their interaction, not their card selection. Flow state begets flow state. I think I do need to take a turn off to try to deal with this Tamiyo. Alright, getting it with Murktide Regent. Or, Tamiyo. So they're holding back the Murktide region. If I draw another blue card, I will fire off the flow state to try to refuel my hand. And unfortunately, I do think I need to take a turn off to go hit this Tamiyo. But they have another one, so maybe it's not even worth it. Okay, I hit another Force of Will, so I will fire off flow state here. It is fully turned on, I believe. I think there's an instant in here. Oh, no, there is no instant in here yet. All right, opponent is brainstorming to flip their Tamiyo. Well, that deals with their backup Tamiyo, so now I'm actually tempted to go after Tamiyo itself. We have Brainstorm, Reanimate, Worldgorger Dragon. I think I want the Reanimate in this instance. And as much as I hate it, I think we are going to go after Tamiyo here. Just get it off of the battlefield. And they might not give up their Murktide region. So, oh, they are going to give up the Murktide region, even though Tamiyo's dead regardless. Okay. Well, we can reanimate that Barrowgoyf again. Wasteland from the opponent. That doesn't get us off a reanimate, so... And a Fatal Push. Okay, well, we have a reanimate, so... And it's backed up by Force of Will. 3 mana for their own Barrowgoyf. Well, we're going to Force of Will the hell out of that. Please don't have Daze or Force of Will blue card. Okay. That worked. They don't have a counter. We're getting back one of our Barrowgoyfs. And then we're going to see if this is a little Barrowgoyf that could. Verdant Catacomb from the opponent. Opponent's cracking a clue. Digging for an answer for our Barrowgoyf. And this looks like another Murktide region. Typically, these decks only play 2, so this should be their last Murktide region. Yep, that is a Murktide region. And a Petty Theft on our Barrowgoyf. Okay, we're in trouble. They have 1 card left, though. We hit an Underground Sea, which unfortunately at the moment doesn't do anything. We can survive 2 hits from this Murktide region. Cracking a clue. Ships the turn after getting in with the Murktide. We hit a Force of Will. That does stop the Brazen Borrower from coming down, but I don't think that's going to save us. There's the Brazen Borrower. We do have to try to Force of Will this. There's a Wasteland. We're going back down to 1 land. I don't think there's any 1 card that gets us out of this now. And certainly not an Animate Dead. Okay. That was a fucking slog. I'm not gonna lie. So up against our opponents, I think we're kind of doing what we did last time. It's kind of bringing our tempo elements. It's a fair matchup. We can take out Force of Wills. Trim some amount of our combo-y stuff here. With the Bowmasters, I'm not as thrilled about Emeritus. And maybe we'll try something more like this. We did see Brainstorms and Ponders out of our opponent, but again, with the meta going so hard in on Flow State and the fact it doesn't draw cards, I really don't think this is a situation where Bowmasters is really going to do much. But let's try something like this. No lands, gotta ship it. This is interesting. I think we're going to keep this. I think we're actually going to get rid of the Dark Ritual here. We have some lands under us. We have some card selection. So we'll start out with the Underground Sea and go into a Ponder. Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize. I think we're going to put back Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize, Marsh Flats. Keep the Marsh Flats. And we might do something a little wonky here. We might try to go for the luck out into brainstorming into one of our fatties, put it into the graveyard with the Surveil trigger from Marsh Flats on the stack. Or we could just go for a full-on brainstorm here. Or we can try Thoughtseizing our opponent first and see what their game plan is and try to fuck that up. We might be able to snag something out of their graveyard. So I think we are going to start out with a Thoughtseize and see what they got going on over there. We've got a Dauthi Voidwalker, Force of Negation, Fatal Push, Flow State. I gotta say, we could Voidwalker reanimate it, force them to pop their Fatal Push or their Force of Negation. Problem is we don't have an answer for this Voidwalker if they get it down, so I think we do have to take the Voidwalker. Alright, opponent corrects a fetch land, gets an Undercity Sewers, bins a land, plays the island, plays the Ponder. Okay. Did not shuffle off of the Ponder, and they are going to Thoughtseize us. Well, we're going to see... Well, they can't fire off this Force of Negation, so we're going to go ahead and Brainstorm and try to hide some stuff here. Multiple Dark Rituals and some Reanimates. Well, we will hide the Reanimates. They can take a Dark Ritual. Unfortunately, this really isn't what we want to see. Alright, draw one of those reanimates, play a polluted delta, and then we'll pass the turn, go grab a surveil land. There's the swamp. Brainstorm, so that's going to turn on their flow state now. It looks like they are just flow stating. Oh no, they're going to play a Tameo. Okay. So they decided not to go for the flow state. Interesting. We are going to shuffle away this other reanimate. I don't think it's doing anything right now, unfortunately. Grab an Undercity Sewers. A Worldgorger Dragon. Well, we will put that into the graveyard for now. And we hit an Animate Dead. Okay. Let's see if we can bait out this Force of Negation on the Reanimate. We will start out with a Dark Ritual. That resolves. We are going to try to reanimate this Worldgorger Dragon. Hope it gets this Force of Negation out of their hand. Okay, Force of Negation, pitching Ponder. That was the bait and they fell for it. Do they have another counter spell? I think it's just this Flow State and Fatal Push. Okay. So we are going to float a bunch of mana. This is deterministically lethal. It's just going to take a lot of clicks to do it. Luckily, we can kind of animate this. If you've never seen this before, basically, Animate Dead is going to bring Worldgorger back. Worldgorger back is going to exile everything, which Animate Dead leaves the battlefield, makes Worldgorger Dragon die again. This all comes back. Animate Dead can target Worldgorger Dragon again. So it's just going to continually loop this, but because of the fact that I have a surveil land, I am going to perpetually keep putting things into the graveyard until I find something else I want to do, and I can float infinite mana until this is over with. So the chances are I'm probably going to do this until I hit an Archon of Cruelty. And it doesn't look like our opponent's going to make us just click through this. It is relatively click intensive, but we have 2 extra minutes on our clock here, and you can pseudo-automate it a bit here. Just make a bunch of black mana here. And we're basically just going to do this until we hit Archon to be able to get that back. We can break the combo at that point. Unfortunately, we're going to have to rely very hard off of whatever Archon hits to be able to keep doing stuff. And this is going to eat through our clock a little bit here. I'm at the point where I probably don't need to be floating mana off of this stuff anymore, so I'm not going to. We have 22 mana, but we can also do this until we hit an Archon, keep doing it until we see something we want on the top of our deck, namely another Animate Dead, and then we can continue this loop again, and the loop actually will kill the opponent at that point. Unfortunately, I don't know where the hell our Archon is. It's also annoying that this is jumping around so much. And like I said, this is eating through our clock quite a bit, but this is deterministically lethal, assuming our Archon is not under all of our reanimation effects. Alright, that's a Voidwalker. Another Voidwalker. We are officially below our opponent, but this is deterministically lethal, assuming that all of our reanimation effects are not below the Archon, or above the Archon. Another Barrowwife. Alright, over halfway through our deck, and we still have not found our Archon yet. And we have hit a few of our reanimation spells so far. Once we hit the Archon, we have to see if there's any reanimation spells left in the deck. This is a little reminiscent of Four Horsemen, if I'm being honest. I will admit this is some very unfortunate sequencing in our deck at the moment. But this is a risk of the deck. Less than 20 cards left in the deck, and we still have not found the Archon. Okay, well that's unfortunate. That's another reanimation spell gone. I think that's all 3 of... Yeah, I think that's all 3 of our Animate Dead. So we're relying on our Archon being on top of one of our reanimates that's left. But we are now at less than 15 cards and have not found the Archon. I didn't take it out, right? Yeah, I did not take it out. There should still be 3 reanimates left, I believe. Fortunately, this is taking much longer than it normally does because of apparently how our deck is stacked at the moment. So I really wish our opponent's graveyard wouldn't pop up and make me scroll every time I want to do this. But, oh well. Well, there's one of our 3 reanimates left. There's 2 reanimates left and an Archon in the bottom 10 cards of our library. And we need the Archon to be above one of the reanimates. And then we're going to need to play a very quick game 3. Okay, there's the Archon. Now we just need to find a reanimation spell. There should be 2 reanimates left. Brazen Borrower is not it. Okay, we can put Reanimate on top of the library. Animate Dead gets back the Worldgorger Dragon. Now we can go grab the Archon. Then reanimate the Worldgorger Dragon. And now we repeat this loop. Put that on top. Now we repeat this loop, but we actually have a lethal now. Oh, I actually screwed that up. Never mind. I need 2 Animate Deads for that to work, but it is what it is. They've got a Fatal Push and a Flow State. Or actually, they got rid of the Fatal Push. They have a Flow State. If they bounce this, we get all of our stuff back. That took much longer than I thought it would, considering it was within the bottom 10 cards of our library, everything we needed. Luckily, I'm at a point where all I gotta do is attack twice. If they ever get rid of this, the loop starts all over again. And then I've got less than 6 minutes to finish the match. Quick shuffle off of that Ponder. At this point, we're just turn it sideways and F6 the turn. And we can't do anything, so we literally just F6 the turn. Flow state from the opponent. Opponent cracks their Misty into another flow state. And then we just get in and kill them. Holy shit, we got there. Alright, I think we're just going to run it back. Alright, we got to play super fast. Give us a super quick combo here. Tamiyo, Brainstorm, Flow States. I think we're going to go ahead and keep this. See if we can turbo out a Tamiyo win. Luckily, we might catch back up on clock here. When our opponent's actually playing, they're playing quite a bit slower than we are. And we're only a little over a minute behind at this point. And we got Underground Sea into a Thoughtseize. I'm assuming they take our Tamiyo here. Yes, they do take our Tamiyo. That's fine. We hit a Flooded Strand. We'll play Polluted Delta, crack the Delta, grab an Underground Sea, play a Ponder. Island, Thoughtseize, Thoughtseize, Thoughtseize. I think we will go Thoughtseize, Thoughtseize. We will take the island, no shuffle, and ship the turn. We will F6 through the turn. We don't have Force of Wills in the deck anymore, so Burn Catacombs from the opponent and a pass. Okay. We hit a Thoughtseize. We will play a Flooded Strand. Let's go ahead and Thoughtseize them. See what they're working with over there. Flow State Barrogoyf. We were absolutely taking the Barrogoyf. And then we're probably going to end of turn Brainstorm just for velocity's sake. Opponent cracks, grabs a Undercity Sewers. And kept whatever it was on top. Okay. Ponder from the opponent. So that's what they kept on top. And does not shuffle. Underground Sea from the opponent. Okay. We are going to fetch and Brainstorm for velocity's sake. If they have a Bowmaster, so be it. Okay, we can put back a Dark Ritual and a Flow State. We will draw step. We draw the Flow State. We will Dark Ritual out this Barrogoy so that we can Flow State if it gets countered and so we can hold up Fatal Push. They had a Force of Will, pitching a Flow State. Okay. And we will Flow State. We will grab a Barrogoyf and a Reanimate. And we will ship the turn. There's their land. And opponent's going to Thoughtseize. Doesn't matter. We can get a Barrogoyf back either way. They take the Flow State. Okay. Well, we will draw. We hit a Dauthi Voidwalker. We will slam our Barrogoyf. And our hope is we can just get through Barrogoyfs, or turn our Barrogoyf sideways enough times quick enough in under 4 minutes, which we should be able to. Especially with them playing off the top of their deck like this. We hit a Dark Ritual, move to combat, get in with Barrogoyf, use the ability, get back a Tamiyo, reanimate our other Barrogoyf, and they're on a 1-turn clock here. And we will actually Ritual out this Dauthi Voidwalker as well, and then ship the turn. Opponent cracks their Delta, and then we will F6 through this turn. Is this a Murktide Regent on blocking duty? It looks like it. It's not going to be very big. It'll be a 6/6, but it has to block one of these Barrogoyfs. It's a 7/7 Murktide, but again, it's on blocking duty for Barrogoyf, so I'm not super concerned here. Or we just bounce it and go for the win. Petty Theft off the top rope for the win. Holy shit! Alright, on the board, on to the next round. Alright, lost another die roll. Actually don't hate this. We can go ahead and keep this. It's a little sketchy with a one-lander, but we have a Ponder. We actually have 2 Ponders, so as long as we find our second land within our first draw or our Ponder, Volcanic Island from the opponent into a Dragon Rage Channeler. So we're looking at Izzet Cutter / Izzet Tempo here, which should theoretically have a pretty hard time dealing with a Barrogoyf. I think we're going to start off with Tamiyo. I could try to Dark Ritual out this Barrogoyf right now, but I want to try to play it around days. Skeleton Turn from the opponent. A unpowered flow state. Okay. Alright, and that does make Barrogoyf a 3/4. And I absolutely will block here. So that also means that our Barrogoyf is out of Lightning Bolt range already. So as long as they don't have a Force of Will, this Barrogoyf should resolve and be extremely difficult for them to deal with. And if it doesn't resolve, then we do have the Reanimate to follow it up. Alright, they do have a Force of Will. We do have a Reanimate to follow this up with, though. This will also turn on the Dragon Rage Channeler, but we can get the Barrogoyf back next turn. And we hit Animate Dead. I think we're going to go ahead and do Reanimate, Animate Dead, take the Delta, no shuffle. And, oh, that actually doesn't turn the Dragon Rage Channeler on. I forgot there's a Lightning Bolt in the yard already. I've only got 2 cards in hand. We have a Reanimate and an Animate Dead coming for this Barrogoyf. Okay, they're just going to kill the Tamiyo. That's actually kind of fine with me. Because that adds a creature to the graveyard to make Barrogoyf even bigger. Kept whatever it was on top. Okay. Wasteland, that's fine. Into a fully powered flow state. Okay, so they need Force of Will blue card here off of this. And they still haven't actually turned on their Dragon Rage Channeler yet, which is notable. It's also nice that they didn't go after our land, so I'm going to have more mana to be able to do even more shit this turn. Well, we're going to reanimate the Barrogoyf. And if it's Force of Will blue card, then we have Animate Dead. Nope, that resolves. Okay. As well out of Lightning Bolt range. We can ponder. Let's do Reanimate, Tamiyo, Brainstorm, no shuffle. Pass a turn. And then we can play Tamiyo, turbo flip it next turn. Corey, Steel Cutter. Okay. They have to have a Bobble or a Lamb plus a card to turn this on. Because Wasteland isn't going to cast anything. Okay, that's fine. And Corey Steel Cutter is, or Dragon Rage Channeler is turned on, but they can't do anything with it yet. So we will draw our Tamiyo. We will play Tamiyo. We will get in with Barrogoyf. See what we hit off of this. If we hit another Barrogoyf, that'd be sweet. We will mill 5 cards. Just a bunch of spells. We will go ahead and fire off this Brainstorm to flip this Tamiyo. Force them into daze on our turn if they have it. It's been sitting on the stack for a while. Okay, our opponent does have a daze. That's fine, though. Because it means the chances of them being able to double spell on their own turn are much lower. They put a Flooded Strand into the graveyard. So we know 1 card in hand is a land, so they need 2 1-drops or a 2-drop and a 0-drop to be able to trigger this Corey Steel Cutter. Okay, Brainstorm's fine. We're kind of outracing their Corey Steel Cutter stuff anyways with this Barrogoyf, and they might have to start leaving those tokens on defense. And we are negating all of the damage this Dragon Rage Channeler is doing. They decided to put a Brainstorm into their graveyard. That's interesting. That could have guaranteed a Corey Steel Cutter trigger. But apparently they don't want to just tread water. Which is understandable. Played the Volcanic that we knew about. Plays a Boomerang Basics. Okay. Well, that is bad, but not the end of the world. I think we put a land on top, but we might have shuffled, so I could be remembering all of this wrong. Well, we'll go ahead and just block the Monk token. Save our life total a little bit here. And they have 1 card in hand, and we hit an Emeritus. Okay, well, we will ponder. Barrogoyf, Unmarked Grave. So I think we're going to put Barrogoyf down, reanimate, Unmarked Grave, no shuffle, and then we just have to survive 2 turns of this, and then we should be able to just win. And we can preserve our life total a little bit with Tamiyo. Alright, they don't have 2 spells to cast. Okay, Lightning Bolt, I'm assuming targeting Tamiyo? No, they're targeting Face. Okay. Put a Boomerang Basics into the graveyard. That's fine. We can take another hit from this stuff here. As long as they don't have a whatchamacallit, I think we're good. A counterspell or another Lightning Bolt. We will throw that Worldgorger Dragon into the graveyard. If they can cast 2 spells, I think we're dead. But we just have to F6 through the turn and hope for the best. That is a brainstorm. They did like one card. They did put it back on the top of their library. So I'm a little concerned about that. A Mishra's Bauble, okay. If they have another 1-drop or 0-drop, they can't get enough prowess to kill us here. Actually, I think this is enough prowess to kill anyways, because that's +1/+1. Yeah, opponent got it. Ooh, that Boomerang Basics on the Barrowglyph was clutch there. That said, up against our opponent, we're pretty much doing the full juke here. Pretty much just take the whole combo out and just bring in removal for all of their creatures and try something like that. Okay, this is keepable. We have a Force of Will, we have a Flow State, we have a turn 2 Dauthi Voidwalker, turn 3 Barrowglyph. Hope that's enough to get through what they've got. I hope a turn 2 Voidwalker is enough to shut down their graveyard shenanigans. Alright, we will start off with a Delta and pass the turn. Opponent kept on 7. Flooded Stream from the opponent, cracks it. Into a Volk. Into a Dragon Rage Channeler. I am not overly concerned about that at the moment. Mishra's Bauble, Boomerang Basics. And opponent's passing the turn. We are going to go ahead and crack our Delta, go grab a Surveil Land, grab our Undercity Sewers. Alright, finally letting this resolve. I think I am going to put Ponder in the graveyard for right now. It puts a sorcery into the graveyard for Flow State, which I like. And we might be able to draw an instant or another blue card to be able to pair with this Force of Will to be able to turn our Flow State on without having to pitch Flow State to Force of Will. Opponent is going to get to see what we're drawing. Opponent gets to draw off of the Bauble. We hit a Brainstorm. Okay, I don't hate that. We are going to try to stop this from turning into a 3/3, but if they have an instant, that means that they instantly get it. Okay. So we currently have this not able to become a 3/3. They didn't have that. We will absolutely protect this Dauthi Voidwalker because it also shuts down Murktide Regents if they have it. Ponder from the opponent. Been to Brainstorm. And then next turn, we can go ahead and Barrowglyph. And hopefully our opponent just can't deal with that. Alright, opponent played a Polluted Delta, cracked the Polluted Delta instantly. Into a Storm Chaser's Talons. I don't think I'm super concerned about that at the moment because this Barrowglyph is going to do a pretty good job walling that. And we have the Force of Will to back it up. Flow State entered the Exile Zone. Yep, and they're safe to get in here. They have 5 cards in hand. They would need 2 counters to stop this Barrowglyph from coming down. And we hit another Brainstorm. Well, we're not really playing around Wasteland at this point, so there's no point in continuing to play around it. And we will just slam a Barrowglyph. And like I said, if we have to Force of Will to push it through, apparently we don't. And we will get in with Voidwalker. And we still have this Force of Will to try to protect stuff at this point. We can Flow State or Brainstorm next turn. Probably Brainstorm first so that our follow-up Flow State is full power. And opponent's going to Ponder, that's fine. Opponent got rid of a Wasteland, so they're not going for the mana denial strategy here. And opponent did not shuffle, playing a Bauble, okay. Are they trying to get this Otter big enough that it can kill my Barrowglyph? Been to Boomerang Basics. They don't even want to try to remove the Barrowglyph. That is interesting. And opponent's getting in with the Otter? I think we're just going to take the 3. We can gain that back with the Barrowglyph, no problem. And I'm not going to give it up just for the hell of it. And then a Ponder, okay. And we will grow our Barrowglyph by a point here because there are no instants in the graveyard at the moment. It's interesting they decided to Ponder after attacks. That makes me think they have a Lightning Bolt and they were trying to trick me into blocking with Barrowglyph. Plays a Delta, cracks the Delta. Into another Ponder. Okay, they are searching for something here. Opponent been to Flow State. They're just churning through their deck into the Exile Zone at this point. And they did not shuffle that Ponder either. Okay, and they get to draw off with a Mishra's Bauble. And we hit a Marsh Flats. Let's go ahead and start out with a Brainstorm. Grow our Barrowglyph. Multiple Force of Wills. I think with that, then we're going to put back 2 lands. Play a full-powered Flow State, because we know we're getting one of those lands back at least. And we're still sitting on double Force, double blue card. And honestly, if they want to counter this, I'm just going to let it happen. And they're going to daze, that's fine. I don't care. They got rid of a Flow State. We're going to get in. See if they're willing to give up this Dragon Reanimator for this Barrogoyf. And the answer is no. And we will see what we mill off of our 4 cards. An Archon of Cruelty? I'm going to leave that in the graveyard so I have a chance to get it back. Alright, opponent just shipped the turn there. We're still sitting on double force, double blue cards, so I'm feeling pretty good. They're staring down lethal on board if they don't block the Barrogoyf. A Lightning Bolt. We are going to counter that. Because I very much want to keep this Dauthi Voidwalker on the board. So we are going to go ahead and force a will that Lightning Bolt. And opponent is brainstorming. Looking for an answer, I'm assuming. Put a Dragon Reanimator into the bin. Their brainstorm can resolve. We have another force blue card to try to fight through this. Did they find a counter? No. Okay. And they binned another Lightning Bolt. And opponent skips it up. Okay, well, that worked beautifully. Do we want to change anything at all? There's a part of me that wants to bring the Sarah's Emissary in. Because if this is the battlefield and they don't have a Boomerang basics, I don't know if they have a way to be able to win through this. Without the Unmarked Graves, I don't think it's worth it. I think we're just going to go ahead and run it back. Well, we've got Force of Will, we've got Fatal Push, we've got to Reanimate, but we've only got 1 land. Unfortunately, I think we have to ship that. Okay, we can keep this. I think we're going to put back one of the Fatal Pushes. We will keep and put back a Fatal Push. And we absolutely will start out with a basic Swamp. Polluted Delta from the opponent. They also mulligan to 6. Volcanic Island into a Storm Chaser's Talent. Into a Mishra's Bauble. Okay. And they're seeing what we're drawing. We can always kill this Otter token. But I'm not super worried about that yet. And we hit a Force of Will, so we'll play a Swamp. I think our plan is going to be, depending on what they do here, just force this, or kill this Otter token. Boomerang basics targeting Storm Chaser's Talent. I think we're going to counter this. I don't want them getting value. They get a Prowess trigger off of the Otter. Into a Ponder. Okay. There's something to be said about pushing now before they can get a look, but I want to see if they shuffle. Did not shuffle. They're going to get in, and we're going to try to Fatal Push this Otter token. Alright, that worked. Opponent appears to not have any counter spells. And there are only 3 card types in the graveyard, so we will go ahead and slam this Dauthi Voidwalker. Ooh, they did have a counter. They had a Daze. Okay. Well, we have a Brainstorm to try to rebuild, but I don't know what they have in their hand to try to rebuild as well, because they have 3 unknowns. And it does put the 4th type. Okay, there's a Quarry Steel Cutter. Do they have something to follow it up? No. No Bobble to follow it up at the moment. We hit a Marsh Flats. Let's Brainstorm. We have Reanimate, Thoughtseize, Ponder. So we can Thoughtseize and then Reanimate the Voidwalker. So I think we need to put back Marsh Flats, Ponder, play Underground Sea, Thoughtseize the opponent, double Flow State, and it is fully turned on, unfortunately. And we will get back the Dauthi Voidwalker. And then we pass a turn and hope this Voidwalker can get us there, and they trip up on mana so they can't find a land and a 1-mana spell off of their draw on this Flow State. There's the Flow State. They found a land. And a Lightning Bolt of all things. Shit, okay. Alright, we can play our Ponder, hope that it finds us something to do here. Force of Will, Undercity Sewers, none of that really does anything, so let's any order that and shuffle. And we hit a Thoughtseize. We can at least keep them off of making another token. So they're in top deck mode. They'd have to hit a cantrip to be able to make another token. We need like a Barrogoyf off of the top or something here. Just a land. Okay. So we 100% need a Barrogoyf off of the top here. That is not a Barrogoyf. We will pass the turn. Opponent cracks their Flooded Shrine. I'm assuming they're getting a Surveillant. No, they got a Mystic Sanctuary to get back a cantrip. Getting back Boomerang basics to be able to bounce Storm Chaser's Talon. Okay. Oh, they had enough mana to be able to level this up too. Yeah, I think we're probably dead here, unfortunately. Yeah, you can only level this up at sorcery speed. I forgot about that as well. So we're not guaranteed dead yet. Replaying Storm Chaser's Talon, getting their Monk. Yeah, it's got to be like Barrowglyph or bust at this point, I think. Because we're taking 5. And they have a wasteland. So yeah, it's got to be Barrowglyph or bust at this point. And even that won't work, I don't think, because they have enough mana to level this up and be able to get back Boomerang Basics. So I don't know if we have an out here, unfortunately. But we will crack our land, go find the Undercity Sewers. Reanimate definitely doesn't do it. Well, let's see what we can hit off a flow state, but I don't have very much hope on this. We hit all 3 lands. Oh my god. Good game, opponent. On to the next round. Okay, I don't think I've won a single die roll yet this league. That said, 1 land, a bunch of interaction, but not much to do with it. I think we got a mulligan this one. Okay, this we can keep, and I think we're actually going to go ahead and put the flow state to the bottom here. We can start off on turn 1 Tamiyo, see if we can distract our opponent, blue mana from the opponent into Snaremaster Sprite. Okay, apparently our opponent is on some stuff. I like the jank opponents. Just please do not wasteland me. Okay, well, we can turbo flip Tamiyo if we need to, but we're going to start out with Underground Sea into Tamiyo and see what our opponent has to say about that. I'm assuming if they're playing Faeries, there's some kind of interactive tempo deck, and they are willing to force a will that. So hopefully that means this Unmarked Grave can do something. And we might just go for a Archon Reanimate here. Opponent has another land. We could also, they really cared about this Tamiyo. We honestly could just reanimate the Tamiyo and try to flip it, just to try to clear the way even further. And I actually don't hate that idea here. And then Spellstutter Sprite, okay. So they're on straight up Faeries, but this is getting interaction out of their hand. So hopefully we can sneak the combo through. Ponder from the opponent. On one hand, I am not happy to be playing yet another tempo deck, but this is some spice, and I gotta give our opponent some credit for that. They're holding up 2 mana again, so I'm wondering if this is going to be another Spellstutter Sprite they're holding up, but they are running out of cards, and they don't have a ton? Okay, that's a flow state. It is turned on. I think I'm gonna go ahead and brainstorm here. Force of Will, double Animate Dead. Well, we'll put 2 Animate Deads back. And then we will go ahead and play a Scalding Tarn. And we will play Unmarked Grave. Because we have a fetch land and we have 2 Animate Deads, I feel comfortable trying to go for the full combo here. And going for the Worldgorger Dragon. And we could also just go for the value line and go grab a Archon of Cruelty. But we had the potential to do the full combo if they don't have interaction. So I think we are just going to go ahead and try to go for the full combo here. And we can go get a fetch land off of the Scalding Tarn. And we can play this around a Daze in theory. Another land, Flooded Strand cracks it, 3 cards in hand. Opponent's getting in with the Spellstutter Sprites. If we see another land, we can try to Animate Dead twice. And opponent is going to Boomerang Basics the Spellstutter Sprite. Okay. I wouldn't hate just seeing another land here. We will get Undercity Sewers. And that is another land, so we're going to go ahead and try and see if they have 2 counter spells here. We know there's 1, so let's go ahead and grab an Underground Sea. We will go for a Animate Dead. We know this one's getting countered. The question is do they have another one? Like, we know that was getting countered. Do you have another counter spell in hand, opponent? Oh, come on! Fucking A. Alright. Alright, well, I guess we see what we're going to get off the top of our deck now. Into a flow state, which is fully turned on. Like I said, I will give our opponent credit for having some spice over there, but, like, this is our 4th tempo deck in a row. Like, I've been recording for 2.5 hours, and we're not even done with match 4 yet, and I'm playing a fucking combo deck. Well, we hit a flow state. It is fully turned on. I guess we're going to see if our opponent has even more counters to stop this. We hit a Barrowglyph and a Ponder. I I think we're going to take Barrowgoyf Ponder and try to play Barrowgoyf around a day's next turn and hope this Ponder finds us a blue card to pair with this Force of Will. It does find us a Ponder, so I'm going to put Unmarked Grave, Polluted Delta, Ponder. No shuffle. Take the Ponder. We have the blue card Force of Will to go with this, and we're just going to see if we can stick a Barrowgoyf, if that's enough to get us through this game. Another flow state from the opponent. We will take our 3. And opponent's just holding up asinine amounts of mana here. So we will play our Delta, and we will attempt to stick this Barrowgoyf. Another Spell Stutter Sprite. Well, we will Force of Will the Spell Stutter Sprite. Alright, that Barrowgoyf sticks. Is this enough to get us through this is the question. If they have another one of these Snare Master Sprite things, they can stun it, and I think that's enough damage to be able to get through this. Alright, opponent is not holding back. They do have a healthy life total here, so... Ninjutsu. Oh, and that thing costs 1+2 to stun this? Yeah, I think we're just dead. Oh, this is just frustrating. I mean, like I said, cool on our opponent for playing Faeries and having some spice, but... with how long this is taking, I think the final match I'm going to have to come back to tomorrow. Like, I'm already running out of time to record today, and literally 4 back-to-back tempo decks is kind of insane. Rite of Undoing, return it to my hand. Okay, so they don't even care. And I pretty much have to find a reanimation spell off of the top and hope they have no interaction whatsoever. But I think they returned their own Spell Starter Sprite to their hand. Luckily, Spell Starter Sprite doesn't counter Barrowgoyf, but I'm sure they have something else that does. Because they don't actually have lethal on board at the moment. Or actually they do. They can just flash and Spell Starter Sprite go over me and I'm dead. Okay. Okay. Annoying. Again, props to our opponent for having the spice, but Jesus Christ. Alright, bring in the Fatal Pushes, bring in this. Honestly, fighting with Force of Wills isn't going to do anything here. I can easily take those out and trim some amount of our combo here, and maybe trim a little bit of speed. And let's try this. Okay, I mean, this isn't bad. I guess we'll go ahead and keep this, and we're probably just going to start off with Undercity Sewers. We also could do the cheeky bin the Worldgorger Dragon, but we can do that later anyway, so I am just going to start out with the Undercity Sewers and take the turn off. A Polluted Delta, I don't think we want that at the moment. We can throw that in the graveyard. Opponent plays an island. Into a Tormod's Crypt. Okay. Into one of those Snare Master Sprite thingies. Well, we can try to bait that Tormod's Crypt with our flow state. I do not hate Orcish Bowmasters at all. I think we're just going to go ahead and play Scalding Tarn and pass here. Opponent plays a land. Guess I went the Spellmaster Sprite. And we're going to go ahead and try to end of turn Brainstorm, try to get some value out of this. And if they're going to flash in a Spellstarter Sprite here, I'm actually okay with that, because then we can Orcish Bowmasters and take it out. Okay, that is a Spellstarter Sprite, which is actually mostly fine. And then we'll go ahead and fetch, go grab our other Surveil land. Because we can play Orcish Bowmasters around days here, take out that... I don't think we need another land right now, so we'll bin that as well. Into a Tamiyo, interesting. Well, we will play our Verdant Catacombs, and we're just going to flash this in now. And I think we're going to take out the Spellstarter Sprite. We can play around a days. This has to be Force of Will blue card. And then we will drop Tamiyo after this. If they want to daze the Tamiyo, that's fine. Okay, they do have Force of Will blue card. That gets them down 2 cards. Crack this, grab an Underground Sea, play Tamiyo. Do you have a daze on top of it? No. Okay. Land from the opponent. Fucking back to basics? Really? Okay. I mean, like, props to our opponent for knowing what is going on, but, like... oh my god. I'm gonna need to take a break after this. I think I'm coming back tomorrow to finish this league. Just... I am done with playing against Tempo today. Dark Ritual, just gonna hold back on D. They're getting in, we're just blocking here, like... An emeritus. I should scoop it up here. I'm not technically dead yet. They have a 15 turn clock at the moment. Um, and a Vendilion click. Alright, I'm gonna give this one more draw and then I'm scooping it up. They got rid of their own card to try to cycle through some stuff here. Like, I am at my wit's end today. Like, I don't have a problem facing tempo occasionally. I truly hate playing with and against tempo in general. I just don't think it's a fun strategy whatsoever from either side of the table. But, like, when it's 20% of the meta and I face it once in a league, whatever, 4 in a row, like, I'm sorry if I'm sounding salty right now, but my brain is fucking fried. And playing up against just hardcore tempo 4 rounds in a row, I. Alright, again, sweet deck opponent. I appreciate the spice, but fuck tempo. I will catch you all in the next round. Okay, took a break to calm down. I'm back to finish out this league here. This hand. It's interactive, it's not particularly fast, and we lost the die roll, but because we have the Force of Will and we have a Ponder, I think we're going to go ahead and keep this. And a Undercity Sewers from our opponent, so I'm guessing we are 5 for 5 against tempo decks this league. That said, do I want to start off on the Tamiyo, or do I want to start off on the Ponder here? We'll see what we draw. We hit another Reanimate. I think we're going to try to bait them with this Tamiyo, and if it survives, it's a repeatable source of clues. And if they just want to daze this, I'm fine with it. If they want to Force of Will it, which they didn't, I was fine with that as well. So we'll see what our opponent's doing over there. And we still do have a Force of Will Ponder in case they're actually on some kind of combo deck to stop what they're doing. We also always could... Ooh, Wasteland's annoying. So this is definitely Dimir tempo. The nice part is we do have another land, so we're not totally out of this. If they have a Fatal Push for this, we also could just spend our turn reanimating it. And with the Thoughtseize, they're probably going to take the Force of Will, but this isn't worth Force of Willing because then we have nothing going on. They might just take the Ponder, hoping that they can mana screw us if they have another Wasteland. Our opponent decides to take a Reanimate. It's interesting they left us with a Force of Will. Snuff out. Okay, I think that's fine. Like I said, we have a Reanimate. We can get the Tamiyo back if we need to, but that's not really our game plan at this point. We hit another land, so I think we're actually just going to Ponder here. And if they daze this, it sets them back a land. Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize. So I think we can put the Dark Ritual back, Thoughtseize down. We will take the Polluted Delta. They are free to do whatever they want here, but I want the Surveil land here in case we can theoretically just bin a fatty. We can Thoughtseize them to try to screw up their game plan. I hope they don't really have anything going on. There's a possibility they just have a Wasteland to try to waste this out. No, Bloodstained Mire. Okay. I was curious if they were going to try to mana screw us here or not. They could follow up with another Thoughtseize to take this Reanimate. Opponent grabs Underground Sea into a flow state, which is fully turned on. Well, we got nothing going on, so we'll just F6 through the turn. I have a feeling this is going to be another fucking slog. Alright, it's our turn. We will play the Polluted Delta. I think I'm going to hold on to this Thoughtseize until I try to go off with something here. Since we don't have the Force of Will backup. If they just slam a Barrow here, though, that is annoying. 2 mana. Is this just a Murktide Regent? Yes. Okay. So I would love to see us bin a, whatchamacallit here, Archon of Cruelty, then be able to Thoughtseize and reanimate our, take care of their Murktide Regent. So Undercity Sewers, show me the Archon, please. Please, deck. Animate Dead. That's not doing anything for us at the moment. It does allow us to set up for the full-on combo, but we need active draws right now. Verdant Catacombs, okay. Well, I guess we technically can take 3 hits from this Murktide Regent. And this is another Surveil to try to hit a fatty in the bin or find some kind of selection or something. Opponent gets in with the Murktide Regent. Follow it up with a Tamiyo. Do they have the Brainstorm to flip this Tamiyo? They do. Okay. Ticks up Tamiyo. And then we will surveil and hope that we hit a fatty, or a way to get a fatty into the graveyard. Grab our other Undercity Sewers. A Dark Ritual is neither of those things. We hit another Reanimate. So technically, we have one more turn. So we'll pass a turn. However, this does shut off our Reanimates as our outs. I could have reanimated the Tamiyo there just to get a blocker, but I don't think that was really worth it. Getting back their Brainstorm, okay. To grow their Murktide region and to be able to get some selection. Cast the Brainstorm. Plays a Scalding Tarn, cracks it to get a Underground Sea. Plays another Brainstorm. Alright, opponent's getting in for attacks. We're going to go to 5. Our Reanimate is turned off. We could bounce this with a Brazen Borrower to potentially buy ourselves a turn or two. But I'm sure our opponent has a shitload of interaction over there. We might just Thoughtseize just to kind of get an idea if there's any kind of spice in their hand, and then just scoop it up. Ponder from the opponent. Shuffle their library pretty quickly off of that. We hit a flow state. It is turned on, so I guess we will just play the flow state. See if there's anything we can find that can get us out of this. Brazen Borrower, Archon of Cruelty. I mean, Brazen Borrower buys us a turn. So I think we take Brazen Borrower land, play the Swamp, and we do have to Thoughtseize here to clear the way for this Brazen Borrower. And then Force of Will and Daze and another Murktide region. Okay, we're just going to the next one. I think I'm going to try to do something a little bit differently here. I definitely want the Dauthi Voidwalkers. I don't think I'm going to trim the combo as hard as I have been. I'm just debating what else I want to bring in here. Like, I do think we want the Fatal Pushes. I think we want the Dauthi Voidwalkers. I think I'm going to give up on some amount of speed here. And I think I'm going to trim the Tamiyos here. But that does drop a lot. That drops our blue count extremely low for Force of Wills. The other thing we could do is say take the Force of Wills out, leave the Dark Rituals in, and just trust in our discard, and try to find a hole to go off that way. That might be a better option here. We could keep one Force of Will in, but we're still super low on blue count. We could bring the other Barrowgwaif in and say screw the Bowmasters. I think that's what we're going to try to do here. We're going to bring in the Fatal Pushes, the Voidwalkers, another Barrowgwaif, trim our Force of Wills and our Tamiyos, try to keep our combo in and trust on our discard to be able to try to punch through, and just hope something like this works. This is a no-lander. We got to mulligan this. We do have a decent amount of the combo here. We are super, super weak to a Wasteland, but I think we're going to keep this and put the Worldgorger Dragon back. And we have to trust that we hit some lands between our draws on this Ponder, because we are going to be super, super weak to a Wasteland here. And if we don't see any lands in all of this, and we get Wastelanded, I think we're just out of this game. Okay, so we did hit another land. I think we're going to put Ponder, Thoughtseize, Underground Sea, don't shuffle, take the Underground Sea, and pass the turn, so we can at least rebuild if they do Wasteland us here. And this is going to put a Thoughtseize in our hand to try to punch a hole through. Okay, Underground Sea from our opponent. Are we getting our Thoughtseized? If they do, they're probably taking this Animate Dead. Okay, playing a Tamiyo, so are they going to try to turbo flip this Tamiyo becomes the question. I think we can win through a turbo flipped Tamiyo as long as we can find our parts here. I am going to start with a Brainstorm here, because we can shuffle with the Ponder, another Animate Dead, a land, and a Ponder. So we will put back Animate Dead and Swamp, play Underground Sea, play a Ponder, Brainstorm, Animate Dead, Swamp. Do I actually want any of this? Not really. But we can Swamp, Ponder to shuffle, then Brainstorm. I think we are going to go ahead and do that. We will take the Swamp, leave the Brainstorm on top. Just try to get our mana under us, and then we can go ahead and Ponder, shuffle, and then Brainstorm. Or vice versa. Alright, I don't know if opponents being a second main phase hipster or they really just don't have a second land here, but they got into combat to attack with this Tamiyo extremely quickly. Okay, just a second main phase hipster, got it. Into a 0-1 Nethergoyf. They can make it a 1-2. Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead and ponder first so that we can see fresh cards off of this stuff. Or we can grab the Fatal Push to be able to deal with this Nethergoyf. But I don't know if that's necessarily what we want here. Because that does lock us into the Brainstorm. I think we're going to any order this just to shuffle because there's two cards we don't want. Okay, and we hit a Scalding Tarn, so I like that. We can Brainstorm and shuffle. And we hit a Fatal Push anyways. I like that quite a bit. We can put back the Dark Ritual, or the Redundant Animate Dead, and the Swamp, I think. Play the Scalding Tarn. And then we will pass, and we'll decide if we want to go after this Nethergoyf or not, because we can go grab an Underground Sea to Fatal Push if we need to, or we can go grab a Surveil Land to try to set up our next draw. Opponent gets a Surveil Land off of their fetch land. Liked whatever it was, so they kept it on top. Plays an island. This could be a Kaido. I'm willing to take the one off of this Nethergoyf. I'm not super concerned about that at the moment. And this is, in fact, a Kaido. But I've got no creatures for them to tap down. And if I can find a way to bin a fatty, and they've only got one layer of interaction, I still have a way to win this game. Opponent's going to Surveil. Bins a Swamp, keeps one card, go to end step. We will go grab a Surveil Land. And I'd love to just see a fatty here. Barrowgoyf is interesting, but it's not going to do anything with a Kaido on the battlefield, unfortunately. So we got to throw that in the bin. That does give us a way out of our loop if we can find it. An Underground Sea. This might be worth getting our Barrowgoyf back with. So I think we're going to try to get our Barrowgoyf back here. Force them to down-tick this Kaido to stun it. And then we can kill the Nethergoyf to save a little bit of life. Alright, opponent's going to ponder. Probably looking for an out to this Barrowgoyf so they don't have to stun it with Kaido. Alright, they're going to Thoughtseize us. That means our Animate Dead is going to be gone. Unfortunately, it also means we need to kill this Nethergoyf now. Either that or they take our Thoughtseize because they have counter magic for the Animate Dead. Alright, they took the Animate Dead, kind of to be expected. That did make our Barrowgoyf much bigger. Nile Spellbomb can shrink the Barrowgoyf a little bit. Crack their Polluted Delta, went and found an Underground Sea. Cracking the Nile Spellbomb, I'm assuming targeting me, yes. And are they just going to draw off of this? This does shrink the Nethergoyf a bit, but if they don't stun it with Kaido, it can still trade. Okay, they are stunning it. We hit a Unmarked Grave. Well, we are an Animate Dead away from trying to win this here, so I guess we just passed the turn. Alright, gonna Emblem their Kaido. Not gonna bother doing the Surveil thing. We go to 3. If they do have an Orcish Bowmasters, we might just die, even if we manage to hit an Animate Dead here. Wasteland, I don't really care about. Tamiyo, I don't really care about. They could flip this Tamiyo if they wanted to, but they're not. Alright, Animate Dead off the top. Another Barrowgoyf, which they can just stun with this. Well, we'll see if they see the line. We will play out the Barrowgoyf. If they've got a counter for this, so be it. That is just game in itself. Alright, Barrowgoyf resolved. Unfortunately, this is large enough now that it can stun this and then swing through and we're just dead. But we're going to see if they see the line. Either that or if they have a removal spell, they can just kill this. Crack and a clue to draw a card. They saw the line last time to tap the Barrowgoyf. Do they see the line to tap it this time? They do. Alright, that's game. That's 5 out of 5 against blue-based tempo decks for this league. I'll review the footage. I got some things to say about not only this deck, but if this is what the face of the meta is going to be going forward. But I'll catch you on the wrap-up. Okay, So I'm going to break this into two parts. I'm going to start by kind of talking about the league as a whole and if this is going to be representative of what the meta is going to be as long as flow state is legal. And if this is what it's going to be, and every single deck is just jamming flow state into tempo, this is going to be fucking miserable. I'm not going to mince words. This card is extremely reminiscent of Expressive Iteration to the point where, honestly, after having played with and against it, I think it's better than Expressive Iteration because any blue deck can play it. You are not forced to play red to be able to play this, and the fact that they just chain into each other and you don't run into the awkward situation of Expressive Iteration where the cards you exile with it has to be played the same turn. These just go straight into your hand, which allows you to bank them for later even if you can't use them right away. And add into the fact that it specifically does not draw cards, it gets around traditional cantrip hate. And I honestly think, having seen Flow State in the meta and played with and against it at this point, it's just better than EI and is going to be another thing that is going to push tempo over the top and make it a suffocating force in the meta, similar to what we've seen in the past when these 2-mana card advantage spells in blue get printed into the meta. That being said, I don't know if WotC is going to do shit about it. They normally take forever to address these things, and yet again, we are seeing that the blue tempo core is so powerful that it just takes one card to push it over the edge, and they don't want to address the dominance of the blue tempo core itself. With that rant being over, let's talk about the deck itself. Honestly, I think it's a bad Reanimator deck. It's not fast enough to really cheese out game ones the way that traditional Reanimator works, and the combo is a lot more convoluted and requires more pieces. Yes, it's super cool being able to loop Worldgorger Dragon with Animate Dead and being able to amass infinite mana, but unless you already have a second Animate Dead in hand, or you're able to set up an Animate Dead on the top of your library to get when you draw Archon, you don't have a truly infinite game-ending loop at that point. You are relying on, hopefully, whatever cantrips you can find once you get your Archon back or once you get your Emeritus back to finish your loop, draw you into the second Animate Dead to truly go infinite and kill, or that whatever you bring back at the end of your Worldgorger Dragon loop is enough to just overwhelm your opponent. It is also very reminiscent of Four Horsemen, where it's infinite but not deterministic because it relies on what the order of your deck is when you're milling through it with your Surveil lands. So while it technically is infinite and can keep going, and 99% of the time it's going to just end the game on the spot, there are situations where your deck is stacked incorrectly, and once you find your Archon to break your loop, you don't have another Animate Dead to go fully infinite, or you don't have a way to reanimate something else out of your deck, or it's literally just the very last card in your deck, and then you're just dead on the spot. So as far as Reanimator decks go, I think this is honestly just a bad Reanimator deck. I give credit to the architect who built this deck and the fact that they were able to do good, and maybe I was just playing it wrong, but compared to other Reanimator decks I played, this just feels like a bad, convoluted way to play the strategy. Additionally, normally I'm a huge fan of sideboard jukes, but the sideboard juke here is to turn yourself into a Dimir tempo deck. And because you've got all of these things to support your main reanimation game plan, it dilutes your tempo game plan post-board, and you basically just turn into a bad tempo deck. And with what we saw, with there being so much tempo in the meta as it is currently, why would you just play a bad tempo deck if your opponents are playing fully powered good tempo? So I like the idea of the transformative sideboard, but I think boarding into an objectively worse version of an already tiered deck as your sideboard plan just is not a winning strategy. I don't know if you'd want to go the show and tell Stronghold Gambit route like the other Reanimator decks do, which I think is a much stronger pivot plan than trying to board into a tempo deck. Obviously, you don't have red, so Stronghold Gambit really isn't there, but maybe you can splash some red in your mana base to be able to pull it off, or just, like I said, go the show and tell route or something like that. But I just really don't like the way this deck is constructed as a whole, between the way the main deck works and the way that the sideboard juke plan works. I just don't think this is a good deck. Again, props to the architect who made this deck and the fact that they were able to put a 5-0 out with it. But I think overall, if you want to play Reanimator, play one of the more traditional versions that's also playing Atraxas, that's playing Raff and Mikey's, stuff like this. This is just a little too cute and convoluted for the legacy meta, especially if the meta is just going to be almost entirely tempo. Yes, I know 5 tempo decks in a row is a bit of a fluke, but Flow State is pushing the meta to that. So you're going to want to play something that can either consistently go under it or go way over the top of it at this point, because you're going to be running into tempo all the time until Flow State does or does not leave the meta. But anyways, this was Dimir Reanimator in Legacy. Honestly, I hope you had more fun watching than I did playing, because I was losing my fucking mind. But thank you for watching. I will catch you all in the next video. And as always, stay salty. Play any of the decks you see on this channel with a Mana Traders rental subscription. With a variety of tiers to fit any budget, Mana Traders lets you play whatever you want in whatever format you want. Use code DasSourKraut at checkout and become a better player today. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you like what you saw. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like and sub button below. There are free ways to support the channel. And drop a comment, let me know what you like. Any kind of feedback you got, your opinions on my gameplay, the decks that I play, any of that kind of stuff. If you really like what you see, go ahead and drop by the Patreon. Become a patron, get to read some of my tournament reports and some stuff going on outside of just Magic in my life that I'm going to start putting over there as kind of my own personal blog. Also, you can do donation deck lists over there, just the price of a league if you have a specific deck you want to see, or you have an idea you want me to brew around, something like that. Go ahead and do that. Nothing is required. It's always appreciated, though. Any donations go directly back into the channel, covering stuff such as leagues for donation decks or the rental program that I'm a part of. I am a small-time YouTuber. I'm doing this for fun. I really hope you all like what you saw. I truly appreciate you all stopping by. I will catch you all in the next video, and as always, stay salty.